Your new Specialized Allez Sprint has arrived. Follow these steps to get your bike built and ready to ride. Inspect the outside of the box for any significant shipping damage. Keep an eye on the internal contents too. If anything appears damaged, contact Specialized Rider Care. Assembly requires basic mechanical skills and quality tools. It is critical that you use a high-quality torque wrench to make sure bolts are tightened to spec. Bolts that are either too loose or too tight may compromise the safety of the assembly. Before we get started, let's be clear about the tools you need. Torque wrench, 4, 5, and 6 mm hex keys, bike grease, scissors or diagonal cutters, and a pedal wrench. Be sure to have a torque wrench. It is necessary to safely tighten your equipment to specific values. Torque specifications can be found in the user manual or printed on the part near the bolt. Inside you will find the owner's manual, other manufacturer's manuals, and the assembly guide. You'll also find some additional parts, like reflectors. Refer to the manual for detailed installation instructions. Let's get that thing opened up. Scissors may be necessary to cut open the top panel. See those two handles in the middle? Grab those with two hands and lift the bike up and out of the box. Keep that bike upright and set it down on the floor. The small parts box can be taken out and opened up. Follow along with the assembly guide and completely read the owner's manual, which has important safety information that should be reviewed carefully and entirely before the first ride. This video is a visual guide to supplement those documents. Cut the two zip ties under the back of the saddle. The post is attached to the saddle. Pull them out together and set aside. The tabs from the handles may be out. Push those back into the box to lift the top tray off the wheels. Lift it off and set aside. Remember to keep all the packaging. You will need to use this same box if you need to repack the bike for return. Pull the wheels off the tray and keep them nearby. Carefully lay the bike down, with the frame side facing up. Cut all the zip ties and remove the protective packaging. You will use the large outer box as a work stand. Lift one of the side flaps up, push the middle cutout section in, and fold the flap down towards the inside of the box. Bring the rear wheel over and keep it within reach of the box. Now is also a good time to make sure you have a 6 mm hex key. Get the bike and lift it out of the packaging. Place the fork inside the box, fork and stem facing forward, cradling the frame on the cutout. Keep the back end elevated. Do not set it down on the rear derailleur. Use the small parts box under the bottom bracket to hold the rear end up. There is a small spacer in the rear brake caliper. Take it out. Do not squeeze the rear brake lever now that it is removed. Doing so will compress the disc brake pads together. A plastic tire lever can be used to pry the pads apart. Contact Rider Care for further support. Unthread the axle from the rear dropout with the 6 mm hex. Set it aside. Slide the wheel into and under the frame's dropouts. Rotate the rear derailleur back. Lower the frame down onto the wheel. Aim the disc rotor into the rear caliper. Spread a thin layer of bike-specific grease just on the axle to prevent wear and creaking. Use the 6 mm hex to thread the axle back into the rear dropouts. Use a torque wrench to fully tighten the axle to specification listed in the manual. If using your own pedals, be sure to review and follow the manufacturer's instructions. These are general guidelines that work for most pedals. Each pedal is marked L and R for left and right. Grab your grease from your tools and begin by lightly greasing the threads. The right side of the bike has the drivetrain, the chain rings, chain, and cogs. Thread the right pedal into the crank by hand. You'll be turning the pedal towards the front of the bike, clockwise. It is important to realize the left pedal is reverse threaded. Turning it to the left or counterclockwise will thread it on the crank. Start threading the left pedal by hand, turning towards the front of the bike counterclockwise. Depending on your pedals, you will either use a 15mm flat wrench or a hex key to finish threading the pedals all the way into the crank arm. Pedals need to be installed tightly. The rotation of the wrench should have some resistance and leave a noticeable imprint on your hand. Have the front wheel within reach. Lift the front of the bike up and remove the front axle. Remove the spacer from the front caliper. Take the front of the bike up and out of the box. Line up the wheel with the dropouts, aim the disc rotor into the center of the caliper, and lower the front end down onto the wheel. Lightly grease just the axle. Using the torque wrench, tighten to the spec listed in the manual. Pick up the saddle and seat post. Notice the minimum insertion line on the post. Slide the seat post into the frame, sliding it in until the minimum insert line is hidden inside the frame. Using a 4mm hex, tighten the seat post clamp until it just holds the post in place. Finish tightening using a torque wrench to the value specified on the collar or in the manual. If you don't know your saddle height, there is a retool sizing app on Specialized.com you can use to find a safe starting point. Retool sizing can also help you find the best body geometry saddle width for your sit bones. Get measured at a specialized retailer with the Retool digital sit bone device. Or you can also size yourself at home. Find the Retool at Home sizing method when viewing saddles on Specialized.com. Click on the size guide and follow the next link to Retool's video on how to measure at home. Your bike is almost ready to roll. Next, you need to fully air up the tires, so grab your floor pump. Pump the tires up to your desired pressure. Refer to the tire sidewall for pressure range. Check your wheel manual or decal on the rim itself to see if your wheels have a maximum pressure limit. Do not exceed it. Before riding, double-check the tightness of all the bolts with the torque wrench. Follow the mechanical safety check as outlined in the bicycle owner's manual. Also, you can check the tightness of the handlebars by holding the front wheel between your legs and twisting them side to side. If anything moves, realign everything and tighten the bolts to specification. Contact Specialized Rider Care with any questions or issues you have with your new bike. Log on to Specialized.com and register your new bike with your unique serial number. Your bike frame's lifetime warranty is activated when you register. Enjoy the ride.